Shouldn't have done that. I didn't think about shooting this video on how to fix it before I'd already fixed this side. Here we have a bipod. It is hooked up to a air gun. This has nothing to do with ELR. I mean the air gun. But the bipod has something to do with ELR, because one of the things we want to make sure of when we get a bipod is that we want to make sure our bipod is as stable and as rigid as possible. We don't want it to buckle. We don't want it to fold in on itself. We don't really want it to move at all. And a bipod has a really important job of making sure that the gun is stable while we're aiming and before we take our shot, and even under and after we take our shot, because we want to be able to spot ourselves if possible, because that's a lot easier to correct for if you can spot yourself. So with this bipod specifically, we're going to be doing a lot of bipods, but this one had a really terrible problem. I'm just going to take it off of the bipod for just a second, or off the gun for just a second. I'm going to put you over here, and this gun has been saved. There's nothing in it. Chamber's empty. Everything's good. Okay, you can see my messy workshop behind me. Now, other than this bipod being an Atlas copy, this is, as you see, something that could be very reminiscent of an Atlas. Pull that out, that comes out. Pull that out, that comes out. That's all well and good. What's not well and good is the geometry on that nut right there. See that nut? It's got kind of a cone shape to it. The reason I'm showing you this up close is, let me put this back on the gun. That. There we go. Nice and locked in, just like so. Okay. Now, you might be able to see the camera with the camera. Call that inception camera. And the reason why I'm doing this with a PCP gun is that the PCP gun I have here is so lightweight that I can catch it when, well, I'll show you. If I get behind the rifle, lie in here like I normally would, and kind of load up my bipod, that happens. This geometry on the nut makes it so that and I have not loosened anything up, not cheating in any shape, sort of way. This is how I got it. Put a little bit of pressure on there, and it just buckles under you. And I don't need to put all that much pressure on it. Now, the reason why it's only the one side doing this is that I've already modified this side. Shouldn't have done that. I didn't think about shooting this video on how to fix it before I'd already fixed this side. Anyway, that's what I'm going to show you now. What we're going to be doing is that we're going to be showing you how to fix this issue with the Optic Science bipod. So if you do have an Optic Science bipod and you're experiencing this issue, this is what you got to do. Okay, so let's get started. First off, of course, got to take the bipod off the gun again. Put the gun aside. That'll work. Now, I do not have any fancy tools in my inventory. I have a press drill, and I have a vise. So what I'm going to show you how to do is I'm going to show you how to alleviate this problem. This is not supposed to be like this. This is supposed to have a push button release there where you can turn that nicely. It's not supposed to be able to stuck up there quite good. That's not supposed. I'm not even putting that much pressure into it. It's just jumping all over. Anywho, to start off with, what I did was I took this and just unscrewed that all the way, kind of like a bottom screw here. I just unscrew that all the way. A washer falls out. Make sure you keep track of that washer. Very thin washer. I don't have washers that size. And then you just take that out. There's a little spring in there. Make sure you don't lose that spring or the washer. I like to go like this. I like to put this back on there and to put that back on there. This way they are together and I know where I have them. Alright, cool. Put that aside. Now, the side that I already did is over here. This is, I wouldn't say rock solid, but it's quite good. The side I didn't do is over here. So, now we want to extend this all the way so we can get to this press screw here. And I have here fiber jaws. If you don't have fiber jaws, I recommend getting some. Otherwise, use some aluminum jaws. If you don't have aluminum jaws, you can put some painter's tape on your jaws to not scratch up the this knob too much. Now, what you want to do is you want to grab a 3mm Allen key, and you just want to unturn this. And these are my favorite jaws for almost everything because they have this geometry on the inside where you can grab onto stuff. That's really cool. Now you just unturn this. Makes it a little bit easier if you take this one out of the way and simply unturn this, because this is just a screw that's inside that knob. Alright, in here you will find another spring covered in what I can only assume is Loctite. What you want to do is break some of all that Loctite free, take that out, make sure that you can get that out. There you go. And take the spring, set that aside as well. Now here is your offending article. That geometry on that nut. I'm sure that that's been done to make it easier to operate the what's it called, the bipod, to make it easier to fold it or whatever. But what it actually does is it makes it impossible to use. I have not talked to Optic Science. I just thought to myself, I'm going to make a small video and hopefully some of you can use this for something. Now, in the fact that I do not have a lathe, which would be really cool to have a lathe, but I'd have to get a bigger shop. I'd love to get a bigger shop, but that requires me making money off YouTube or whatever it is I'm doing. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, or go to buy me a coffee. The link will be in the description. PayPal is always an option. Anywho, so because I don't have a lathe, I'm going to have to mend and make do. I have my drill. It spins around just like a lathe. And I have a file. This does the job of the knife thing on the lathe. So, what you want to do, preferably, you don't have to, what I like to do is I like to take, again, some painter's tape, just a little bit, put that around, because you do have some threading right there. This is an M4. There is some thread there that you want to protect, and the easiest way to protect that is just to put a little bit of tape on there. Make sure it's not too thick a layer, because that's going to mess up your center. There you go. You're going to have something that looks a little bit like this. See that geometry? That's our offending article. So now all you do is you tighten that down, click it back, that locks it. Make sure that you have a nice, that you're happy with the way the screw turns in the drill. You're happy with your center. We have to turn down this screw to where it is a regular head. And this is going to be noisy and take a long time, or take some time, so I'm just going to fast forward over this. There. That's all. Don't want to take too much off of there, because then you're not going to be big enough for the divots in the Optic Science bipod. Because the divot's job is to grab onto this stud, which is basically is when it comes in there, and make sure that nothing slips. Now, see that geometry? That is better. It's not totally cylindrical. It's got a little bit of a rounded edge in there. I'm not going to do anything about that. And hopefully, this has alleviated the problem of our buckling issue on our Optic Science bipod. So now there's only one thing left to do, is to take everything and marry it back together again. What you also want to do is when you make sure that you get your spring, get that in there. Squeeze on there with that end. There you go. I'm happy with that. Now relieve the pressure on that again. Make sure that this still works. So I'm actually putting quite a bit of pressure on that. Alright, now tighten that up a tad too much. This is a 4mm. There should be some kind of geometry in here that stops that from being too tight. That's good. Now, let's put all this back together again. Need to remember that we still have a washer on there. And of course this goes down into that geometry there. I'm going to talk a little bit about a different problem I have with the Optic Science bipod and all other bipods that do this. I do not like it. And that's because you lose stability. When you lose rigidity, you lose stability. So added rigidity is added stability. So I'm probably going to modify this. If I'm ever going to use it, I'm probably just going to throw it in the trash or give it to somebody once it's fixed. Everything's working good. That goes like that. This goes like that. Everything's good. Alright, let's put it back on the rifle. To do that, let's just move you guys over here. And one of my pet peeves is always clean your tools. And you know where they are time you need them. Put that all back like so. Put that back there. Put this over here. Go. This down there. And this goes over yonder. I don't quite know what that is. Okay, cool. 19 minutes of video. I sure as hell hope that you guys are still hanging around now. Okay. Weapon is still cleared. Weapon is still safe. Put the bipod on like so. So, lock that down. Give it a little bit of a twist. Turn that down just a tad more. Back. There we go. Okay, now we have same bipod, same rifle, behind the rifle, and load that up. And all that happens is it pushes it forward, which is exactly what should happen. Give it a little bit of a torture test. That actually putting quite a bit of pressure on that. I would never put that much pressure on a bipod when loading it. So the fix has worked. Now I'll show you what I was talking about with the thing that kind of annoys me with this kind of bipod and the design, not with this specific bipod, but with the design of this type of bipod, that you can pivot it. And this one can actually pivot all the way around 360 degrees, which I guess has its merits somewhere. I think somebody would find that really cool. It can also pivot this way. No matter how much I tighten this thing in, it still pivots. And that's kind of annoying. Because with rigidity comes stability. So when I'm on the gun, like so, and I'm behind my gun, I would usually have a squeeze bag here to, and this is just representing a firearm, a real one, ELR gun. Now, when I'm usually behind the rifle like so, I would want as little cant as possible. It's nice sometimes when you need to go on a hillside. But if you are on a hillside, for example, like at Tifos, I would go bipod like this. Extend one side and not the other. And then it doesn't pivot enough to go and be steady. But it pivots just enough to go like that, which is okay. But that was how to fix your, I'm not even sure what the Optic Science cost. I got that one for free because it was broken. I'm not sure if it is broken or not. That's just the way it came to me, and as far as I know, it was new when I got it. So I'm guessing that's the geometry of the Optic Science, and if you do have that geometry on your studs, this is how to fix it. So that's all for now. Stay tuned and stay safe, and leave a subscribe. That would make me happy.